.NET 9 Migration Guide, New Features, Breaking Changes, and Safe Upgrade Path. So, .NET 9 Migration. It's something a lot of people ask about, and today we're going to walk through it step by step. Now, next up, what and hashtag 39. New in .NET 9, key features worth knowing. .NET 9 introduces meaningful improvements across the runtime, base class library, and toolchain. Not every change will affect your application, but knowing the highlights helps you justify the migration effort to stakeholders and prioritize your testing work. The JIT compiler in .NET 9 received significant updates to loop optimization, inlining decisions, and code generation for SIMD workloads. Microsoft's benchmarks show throughput improvements of 15 to 40% on certain workload categories, with JSON serialization via and cryptographic operations showing the largest gains. For high-traffic ASP.NET Core APIs, this translates to real latency reductions without any code changes. The garbage collector also received improvements to allocation throughput and GC pause times on server workloads. If you're running workloads through a .NET microservices consulting engagement with high concurrency requirements, the GC improvements alone justify an upgrade evaluation. Let's talk about breaking changes in .NET 9 you must check before migrating. Microsoft maintains a comprehensive breaking changes list for .NET 9 that every team should read before starting work. The list is long, but most applications are affected by only a small subset. Here are the categories with the highest real-world impact. The most impactful changes for ASP.NET Development Services work relate to middleware ordering and exception handling. The default exception handling middleware applies in a different order than in .NET 8, which can silently change error response behavior for applications that rely on specific HTTP status codes or response shapes. Test your error paths explicitly in staging if you use with custom handlers. Middleware behavior changed in edge cases around status code mapping. APIs returning RFC 7807 problem details should verify their error responses against client contracts before deploying. Handling was also tightened, which can affect legacy middleware that sets content type headers without encoding information. Next up, how to plan your .NET 9 migration step by step. A structured migration process reduces risk significantly. The teams we work with as a .NET development company follow a consistent pattern regardless of application size or complexity. Start by running across your build servers and deployment targets to confirm what each environment actually uses. Then run in each project to identify NuGet packages with .NET 9 compatible versions. Packages that haven't been updated in 18+ months are the most likely source of compatibility problems. The .NET Upgrade Assistant can scan your solution and generate a prioritized change list. Once you've reviewed its output, change to and treat the resulting compiler warnings as your migration checklist. Address obsolete API usage first, then analyzer violations, then nullable reference warnings. Now, migrating from .NET Framework, the Legacy App Modernization Challenge. Moving from .NET 8 to .NET 9 is a manageable engineering task. Moving from .NET Framework 4.x to .NET 9 is a different project entirely, and this is where most legacy app modernization engagements start. Legacy .NET Framework modernization uses the Strangler Fig pattern to incrementally replace components without a full rewrite. The approach routes new requests to modern .NET 9 endpoints while the legacy application continues running in parallel, then migrates functionality piece by piece until the old system can be decommissioned. We cover this approach in detail in our .NET Application Modernization, a 5-phase roadmap from legacy to cloud native. The Strangler Fig pattern is particularly effective for large monoliths where a single Big Bang rewrite carries too much business risk. By routing at the API gateway or reverse proxy level, teams can migrate one bounded context at a time without a coordinated deployment across multiple teams. Now, Blazor Development Services and the .NET 9 front-end story. Blazor is the most significant front-end development story in recent .NET releases, and teams planning a .NET application modernization project need to understand what it offers before committing to a UI technology choice. Blazor Server renders UI on the server using SignalR, sending DOM diffs to the browser over a persistent connection. Blazor WebAssembly runs C# directly in the browser via WebAssembly, with no server round trips required for UI updates. .NET 9 matures the Blazor Web App Unified Hosting Model, which lets teams choose per component whether rendering happens on the server or client. For enterprise intranet applications on reliable corporate networks, Blazor Server performs well and keeps your entire stack in C#. For public-facing applications where load times, SEO, or offline capability matter, Blazor WASM or the hybrid Blazor web app model is the better fit. Your choice of Blazor development services ultimately depends on your user base and network topology. Now, how .NET 9 improves microservices in API development. .NET 9 is a strong release for teams building distributed systems. The improvements to ASP.NET Core Minimal APIs, .NET Aspire, and OpenTelemetry integration make it a compelling upgrade target for .NET microservices consulting projects. Minimal APIs in .NET 9 gain native OpenAPI 3.1 document generation through the package, removing the dependency on Swashbuckle for many teams. Your API contracts stay synchronized with your route definitions without third-party tooling maintenance. Route groups now support middleware at the group level, simplifying per-feature authentication and rate limiting in large API surfaces. For teams delivering API development services with complex permission models, this reduces boilerplate noticeably. .NET Aspire, stabilized in .NET 9, orchestrates multi-service local development with automatic service discovery, configuration management, and an observability dashboard. It doesn't replace Kubernetes for production, but it cuts the friction of running 8 to 12 microservices locally from a half-day setup task to under an hour. Teams using Aspire report that it reduces new developer onboarding time for complex distributed solutions from days to hours. Moving on to should enterprise teams upgrade to .NET 9 or wait for .NET 10? This is the question enterprise teams actually need answered, and it deserves a direct response rather than a hedge. .NET 9 is a standard term support release supported until May 2026. It is not an LTS release. Microsoft's .NET support policy means .NET 9 stops receiving security patches partway through 2026. For enterprise applications in regulated industries like healthcare, banking, or financial services, running unsupported software is a compliance risk. If your security policy requires supported software, plan your .NET 9 window carefully, begin the upgrade in Q4 2025 and have a .NET 10 LTS migration plan in place before May 2026. .NET 8 LTS is supported through November 2026, giving teams that prefer to skip .NET 9 a workable alternative path. Let's talk about next up, conclusion. .NET 9 migration offers real, measurable improvements, JIT performance gains that reduce API latency without code changes, a maturing Blazor ecosystem with the unified web app hosting model, better native AOD support for containerized workloads, and .NET Aspire tooling that meaningfully reduces microservices development friction. The case for upgrading is clear if you're on .NET 8 and can plan around the STS support window. For teams still on .NET Framework, the Strangler Fig approach described in our .NET application modernization, a 5-phase roadmap remains the safest path for large legacy applications. A full rewrite is sometimes warranted, but only when incremental migration costs more than rebuilding due to structural degradation in the existing codebase. If you're planning a .NET 9 migration and want an informed second opinion, Q Services provides .NET application modernization and enterprise application development services with human-in-the-loop governance built into every engagement. Our .NET Development Company Buyer's Guide covers the evaluation criteria that matter most when choosing a migration partner.